Hi, 10. This is page 4 for the primary user interview that we're going to be going through today. As ever, I will give you a... Let's just try and find it first. I'll give you the run through of the whole PowerPoint, and then when you click on the link at the bottom of that first page, that will take you to the YouTube playlist where you'll be able to gain access to this video on YouTube. So it'll be easier for you to watch. So as I said, page 4, primary user interview. I'll put the video for this meeting on the PowerPoint slide. So as well as me uploading this onto Teams, you'll be able to have access to it through that as well. Throughout your coursework, as I said, on the last 3 slides, I'm going to be giving you a template. Okay, this template, I don't want everybody to be just copying the template, the layout of the template. The idea is the template is there and you then change things around within that template. Everything on these help sheets is geared to a grade 7 or possibly higher, grade 7, 8 and 9. All right, so we as teachers are thinking that you, on your coursework, it's much better for you if you get 1 above your tag. So if your tag for DT is a 6, then we want to be aiming your coursework at a grade 7. Okay, that will then give you a better footing in the exam to go on and achieve a higher grade. The coursework timetable that you're all familiar with, so today, well, Monday 29th of June was the hand in for the mood board. Okay, so the end of play, Monday 29th of June. We then move on to the primary user interview. This needs to be handed in on the 6th of July. So Monday, 6th of July, end of that day. As ever, if you're working on an A4 sheet, you now should have the template formatted in your PowerPoint slides because you've done 3 slides now. So size 10 font if on an A4 sheet, size 12 if on an A3 sheet. All pages, introduction at the top of the page, conclusion at the bottom with the next steps in the bottom right. All pages, same font, only change the font to enhance the title or to make a title look more bolder or bigger. The same layout needs to be kept on all the pages. I don't want to see a page with all colours on and then a page all black and white. Okay, keep the same on all pages. Minimal white space on the page as well. Okay, so no big gaps on the page. Okay, the white space refers to big gaps. It doesn't just refer to white space, the colour white. Okay, so big gaps on the page, I don't want to see any of. Obviously, you need to leave space between blocks of text. So give it a reasonable space between there so it doesn't look as if the text is running into the next part. So the primary user page, this is an example of one from this year. In my opinion, this one is probably about a grade 7. Okay, he's got in the left-hand corner, he's got information about the primary user. So this is very similar to what you've put in the design brief page, but goes into a little bit more detail. He's only got 1 picture. Ideally, I would like 3 or 4 pictures, maybe the primary user in the situation. Now, one of the prerequisites of this page is that you have an audio file, so that the examiner it's proof to the examiner that you've done the interview, that you've sat down with the primary user and you've gone through the list of questions and had their response. You haven't just made them up. Now, this person, he's written a transcript of it. Now, I don't want to see if it has to be done, then it has to be done. But I don't want to see anybody really just writing a transcript of the interview. By doing that, you're using up more space and having less space to put down an analysis of the interview. Now, he's just summed up all of the interview questions in this part here, in this little paragraph. I don't think there's enough analysis of these questions, which is why he had a grade 7. He's got everything in there. So all the boxes are essentially ticked for what is in there. He's got analysis, got the interview, got the information about the primary user. So he got the grade 7. But to get on the higher part, you need more information about the analysis. This one is a 9. Okay. We have, down in the bottom left here, the audio of the primary user interview. Got a little bit of reasoning here about why an audio recording was chosen, why we're choosing to do an interview. And then this person only had 6 questions to give to the primary user. That's all you need. And I'll go through the 6 questions later on. But this is not saying anything about the answer, not saying anything about the transcript of the answer. This is just analysing what they've said, how it is going to help you. So you can see every question has the analysis of that answer, how it is going to help them in the next pages. And that is perfect. So use this page as kind of the template to go by. Same, this one here has done it very differently. So it doesn't matter if you mix it up a little bit, but you need to tick, as I keep on saying, tick all those boxes that I put down, that need things that need to be included in this page. Now he's got information about the primary user, but he's also got a little bit of a transcript, as well as some analysis of the question that was asked. He's also got advantages and disadvantages up here. So he's asked the primary user what advantages something like his idea what the advantages would be of having a product like that, and then the disadvantages of having a product like that. So he's actually asked them a different kind of route into the question. Layout of the page. Ooh, haven't changed that there. So that one there, sorry about that. That should say primary user interview, not mood board. Then we have the brief introduction. So here we are saying this is going to be this page will include some more in-depth information about my primary user. And it will also I will also be asking my primary user questions to do with the design context and design brief to get further information. The more detailed introduction will go through what kind of questions are going to be asked in this questionnaire, why it is you want to be asking these questions. So that needs to be considered within the detailed introduction, as well as going through the stages you're going to be going through here. So going into a bit more detail about what you'll be finding out in the design, in the primary user information page. Also, how the analysis is going to help you. Oh, why does it say page conclusion there? Okay, so that there should say primary user information. I will change this when it goes onto the PowerPoint. So this part here, this is the primary user information. So this is just about the primary user. Now, this part needs to be more in depth than the information you gave on the design brief page. Now, I know some of you, I worked with quite a few of you on that design brief page, looking into information for your primary user. You need to give, it's almost like telling a story about your primary user. Why it is a product like this that you're thinking about making would be of use to them. What do they need this product for? Is there a situation that they've come across in the past that they would find this product quite useful to them? It would be ideal if you can have 3 or 4 pictures of the primary user in this situation. So the primary user needs to be, if it's for a workbench, primary user, picture of the primary user using wood tools, work tools. Picture of the primary user inside a workshop. This needs to be of them in a situation where the examiner can see that they will find this product of use. Information about their age, job, interests, all need to go in here again. So it's almost copying what you put in the design brief page, but adding a lot more information about them into it. So as I said, it is just quarter of the page of a story about your primary user, almost a biography of the primary user. Next part is I want you to go through the reasons why a questionnaire is useful. So why do you need to ask this questionnaire at this stage in the project? You're asking this questionnaire because you're going to be getting a lot of useful information from them. You can ask the primary user any question you want, and then they can give you a good answer that will help you further on in your research, further on in your idea generation. Okay, you use the questionnaire as it provides evidence of communication between you and the primary user, especially when there is an audio clip. Okay, evidence is provided for that. Now this one here, analysis of the responses. So questions, you don't need to, I don't want you to be writing down a transcript of the interview here. You can see you don't have much space on the page left after you've done the design brief. So after you've done the primary user introduction, then you'll have your transcript here, and then you'll have your analysis here, which leaves you with no space for analysis. That's where you get the marks from, with the analysis of the questions. So I want you to have a good half the page left for analysis of the questions. You can put the question, but I don't want to see the answer to the question from the user. Okay, it's just how you interpret that answer. So what do you get from the answer? So if your question to the primary user was, how is a product, how does this design brief, how would a product made using this design brief help you overcome problems within the workshop? You just put that in the response in this analysis. Then you go into the analysis of the response that the primary user gave you. You can then say, my primary user stated that they would find this a product for the workshop incredibly useful, as they are using the workshop a lot of time, a lot. They need to have places to store their equipment, which they have mentioned in the response. Okay, you're not saying anything about, you're not writing down the response, you're analysing it. You're stating how parts of this can help you. So if they've stated they need storage, you can say, because the primary user has stated that they need storage in their box, I will need to factor in storage into my ideas when I come to create it. So that's an analysis for all 6 questions that you're going to be asking. As I keep on mentioning, the link to a recording or an audio file. So you can do a video file. Video files are massive files. So it will kind of hinder you putting this onto, you putting a link to this in here or uploading it straight onto the page, as it will make the page about 150 megabyte, if not more. If you put a video link onto this, I would advise you to maybe put it onto YouTube first. Okay, so make a YouTube account, put it onto YouTube, upload it onto YouTube, and then you can put a link to the YouTube video. So the examiner just has to click on the link and it takes you to that YouTube channel. Audio files are much smaller, but they're still quite large. Okay, you're still looking at an audio file being about 40 megabyte, which if you need to email me this page, it will knock that out of the question. Okay, so you won't be able to do that because to email a page it takes about 25 megabyte. Won't do anything bigger than that. So just bear that in mind when you're coming to do this. Audio and the recording links don't need to be put in here now. Okay, so don't worry about doing the recording or the audio links now. You can do those at any time because you know what the answer to the questions are because you've talked to the primary user. You know what the questions are because you've made them up. Now you can just do that whenever and stick that in right at the end. Okay, so don't worry about doing that now. Get the analysis down, get the questions, and that is it. Okay, the recording and the audio file we can do later on. This section below the audio file, I've said more pictures maybe relevant to the primary user, or you can have more, use it as more space for the analysis. Ideally, it's more space for the analysis rather than pictures because you include the pictures within section 4 in the primary user information. Number 9, page conclusion. So summing up how the analysis, so what you found out in that. So pick out like 4 or 5 key areas of information within that analysis that you found incredibly useful. Okay, and you stick that into section 9. You say, my primary user stated that storage would need to be used in this box. Okay, sorry, in this piece of equipment. So I will need to be adding in a section 4 storage of tools. And you didn't know that before. You know that now. So that is going to help you. 3 other areas within the analysis that you found out that can be useful, stick into the conclusion. Then the next page. Next page is going to be something called a focus group. So we're going to be using a focus group. So a collection of people that we interview over Google Forms and we get their responses. We'll move on to that later. So this is your primary user questionnaire help sheet. Now I've put in, again, this is information about what you need to put for the more detailed instructions here. This is like it's almost like the same layout, okay, but just a little bit different. The way the boxes are spaced, you know, that's perfectly fine. You don't need to be putting in a whole half page. If you can only fit in a quarter of a page of information about your background, about the primary user, then do that. Okay, you've got the information there. It's not, the analysis is where you're going to be gaining marks for this stage. Analysis, I've put here, you are required to literally rip apart your interview with the primary user, looking into what each question means and the responses that you have been given. Here, you could split the interview up into different sections and analyse each section. Think about how the response will help your investigation. What does the response tell you about the typical primary user? And does this response change your initial thinking of the concept? These at the bottom here are the questions that I would like you to be looking into. So the first thing you need to be talking about is background information. So you need to be going to the primary user and asking them. So ensure that you ask the background of the person. So get them to describe themselves. So that you ask the primary user. So who are you? Okay, what is your interest in this? Why does this context fit them? So you state the context. So maybe state the OCR context, state your design brief, and ask them, how does this fit your lifestyle? How could you help me? Ask them. So there's no ideal response to this. Okay, you ask them, how could you help me? What are you going to give to me in this primary user questionnaire? Then you move on to situation information. So talking about the actual design brief that you've got there. So problems that they have encountered when subjected to the context, i.e. we had travel disruption last year. So you've got problems they've encountered with music. So listening to music at a gig, okay, storing their musical instruments. What problems do they encounter with that? This is just one question here, so it could be quite lengthy. So you might want to think about being quite specific in this, or you can just leave it as one question, and then you're going to have a lot more to rip apart because they're going to give you a lot more information. Then the final area is the problem solving. So has your primary user got any ideas for your context? So do they have any ideas of how this problem that you've come up with in your design brief can be solved? Ask them, keep on asking them if they've got any more ideas, okay, or kind of, can you elaborate on that part? So if they said something quite generic, ask them to be more specific in what they're trying to describe, okay, because that will give you more information. It's another person's viewpoint on what you can do, on how you can improve it. So we've got there 5 questions, okay, but they're big questions. You don't need to put in any more, okay, other than 5 questions, 5 big, juicy questions that need to go in there. All right. Now, I'm going to want this page in next Monday, so the 6th of July. Now, I will be having you back in school in a couple of weeks' time. So I want to be focusing on the focus group there, really. So the primary user needs to be completed for that lesson. I don't really want to be spending any time on the primary user. So aim to get primary user into me by Monday. Everything else needs to be uploaded into Teams. So exploring the context, design brief, and mood board, all uploaded into Teams by end of play on Monday, 29th of June. Okay, good luck, year 10. Bye-bye.